Hello, I'm Jennifer. I'm going to be reading you some Anaxagoras today. And before I do, I wanted to mention two other pieces that are connected to this that I think are super important. One is titled Anaxagoras and the Concept of Matter before Aristotle, and that's written by G.B. Kerford, M.A., Hume Professor of Latin in the University of Manchester. That's a really fantastic piece. This author of this piece really clarifies 5 of Anaxagoras' precepts, and is meticulous in how he addresses Aristotle's writings about those concepts. The other piece is Plato's Phaedo, and in there you can read about Socrates and his fascination with Anaxagoras, particularly because of mind or nous being the first cause or primary cause, and how he was very excited to read about it, and he bought up everything that Anaxagoras had written and devoured them, and then was disappointed because I think he needed it to go further than just these material causes, which we know does go further now, that we have formal cause and we have teleological causes, talked about much more, but particularly with Aristotle. Okay, so that being said, I'm going to be reading Anaxagoras' fragments. This is from Early Greek Philosophy by John Burnett, M.A., LL.D., Professor of Greek in the United College of St. Salvatore and St. Leonard, St. Andrews. It's the second edition, London, Adam and Charles Black, 1908. Okay, let me get down to the fragments, just one moment. This reads, I give the fragments according to the text and arrangement of Deals, who has made some of them completely intelligible for the first time, and these fragments from Deals are the fragments that you're going to be able to find online. Okay, I'm going to announce each fragment with the number that's represented in parentheses before the fragment is listed out. Okay, here we go. Number 1. All things were together infinite, both in number and in smallness, for the small too was infinite. And when all things were together, none of them could be distinguished for their smallness. For air and aether prevailed over all things, being both of them infinite. For amongst all things, these are the greatest both in quantity and size. 2. For air and aether are separated off from the mass that surrounds the world, and the surrounding mass is infinite in quantity. 3. Nor is there a least of what is small, but there is always a smaller. For it cannot be that what is should cease to be by being cut. But there is always something greater than what is great. And it is equal to the small in amount, and compared with itself, each thing is both great and small. And since these things are so, we must suppose that there are contained many things, and of all sorts in these things, that are uniting seeds of all things, with all sorts of shapes and colors and savors, and that men have been formed in them, and that other animals have life, and that these men have inhabited cities and cultivated fields as with us, and that they have a sun and a moon, and the rest as with us, and that the earth brings forth for them many things of all kinds, of which they gather the best together into their dwellings, and use them. Thus much have I said with regard to separating off, to show that it will not be only with us that things are separated off, but elsewhere too. But before they were separated off, when all things were together, not even was any color distinguishable, for the mixture of all things prevented it. For of the moist and of the dry, and the warm and the cold, and the light and the dark, and much earth that was in it, and of a multitude of innumerable seeds, in no way like each other. For none of the other things either is like any other. And these things being so, we must hold that all things are in the whole. 5. And those things have been thus decided, we must know that all of them are neither more nor less, for it is not possible for them to be more than all, and all are always equal. 6. And since the portions of the great and of the small are equal in amount, for this reason too, all things will be in everything, nor is it possible for them to be apart. But all these things have a portion of everything, since it is impossible for there to be at least a least thing. They cannot be separated, nor come to be by themselves, but they must be now as they were in the beginning, altogether. And in all things many things are contained, and an equal number both in the greater and in the smaller of the things that are separated off. 7. So that we cannot know the number of the things that are separated off, either in word or in deed. 8. The things that are in one world are not divided nor cut off from another with a hatchet, neither the warm from the cold, nor the cold from the warm. 9. As these things revolve and are separated out by force and swiftness, and the swiftness makes the force, their swiftness is not like the swiftness of any of the things that are now among men, but in every way many times as swift. 10. How can hair come from what is not hair, or flesh from what is not flesh? 11. In everything there is a portion of everything except nous, and there are some things in which there is nous also. 12. All other things partake in a portion of everything, while nous is infinite and self-ruled, and is mixed with nothing, but is alone, itself by itself. For if it were not by itself, but were mixed with anything else, it would partake in all things if it were mixed with any. For in everything there is a portion of everything, as has been said in me and what goes before. And the things mixed with it would hinder it, so that it would have power over nothing in the same way that it has now been alone by itself. For it is the thinnest of all things, and the purest, and it has all knowledge about everything, and the greatest strength. And nous has power over all things, both greater and smaller that have life. And nous had power over the whole revolution, so that it began to revolve in the beginning. And it began to revolve first from a small beginning. But the revolution now extends over a larger space, and will extend over a larger still. And all the things that are mingled together and separated off and distinguished are known by nous. And nous set in order all things that were to be, and all things that were and are now and that are. And this revolution in which now revolve the stars and the sun and the moon and the air and the aether that are separated off. And this revolution caused the separating off, and the rare is separated off from the dense, the warm from the cold, the light from the dark, and the dry from the moist. And there are many portions in many things, but no thing is altogether separated off nor distinguished from anything else except nous. And all nous is alike, both in the greater and the smaller, when nothing else is like anything else, but each single thing is and was most manifestly those things of which it has most in it. 13. And when nous began to move things, separating off took place from all that was moved. And so far as nous set in motion, all was separated. And as things were set in motion and separated, the revolution caused them to be separated much more. 14. A nous, whichever is certainly there where everything else is, in the surrounding mass, and in what has been united with it and separated off from it. 15. The dense and the moist, and the cold and the dark came together where the earth is now, while the rare and the warm and the dry and the bright went out towards the further part of the aether. 16. From these, as they were separated, earth is solidified. For from mists, water is separated off, and from water, earth. From the earth, stones are solidified by the cold, and these rush outwards more than water. 17. The Hellenes follow a wrong usage in speaking of coming into being and passing away. For nothing comes into being or passes away, but there is a mingling and a separation of things that are. So they would be right to call coming into being mixture, and passing away separation. 18. It is the sun that puts brightness into the moon. 19. We call rainbow the reflection of the sun in the clouds. Now it is a sign of storm, for the water that flows round the cloud must cause wind or pours down in rain. 20. With the rise of the dog star, men begin the harvest. With its setting, they begin to till the fields. It is hidden for 40 days and nights. 21. From the weakness of our senses, we are not able to judge the truth. 21a. What appeals is a vision of the unseen. What appears is the vision of the unseen. 21b. We can make use of the lower animals because we use our own experience and memory and wisdom and art. 22. What is called birth milk is the white of the egg. So that is that piece, and I hope that you enjoy it, and I will be posting some more things soon. I'm going to be posting my reading of some Kierkegaard. I've got to practice my elocution. So I hope, that you have a fantastic night, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.